We don't need useless employees here." The last words I heard from my boss, Kevin, as he smirked smugly, having succeeded in firing me, were filled with malice. "Understood. Today will be my goodbye to this company. But remember, Kevin, the dirty tricks you've played will eventually come back to haunt you. You'll reap what you've sown. Goodbye." With those final words, I left the company. The following week, Kevin would experience the revenge I had warned him about, in full measure. My name is Alex. I'm turning 28 this year. I was born as the eldest son in a very ordinary middle-class family in the suburbs of New York. As a kid, I loved bugs and spent a lot of time catching them in the neighborhood. I've always been laid back by nature, not really into competing or rushing things. Because of my easygoing and kind nature, I was often underestimated and used as a stepping stone by the mean kids and the slick ones in elementary school. But I never wanted to fight others just to come out on top. In middle school, I was an average student in every aspect, with no particular achievements in academics or clubs. I played basketball in high school as well, but since I was always losing in the first round of district tournaments in both junior high and high school, I never had the passionate experience of practicing hard to win a championship. It was just going with the flow, really, since I didn't have a special desire or love for basketball. However, there was one time in middle and high school when I felt truly alive and fulfilled. I loved music, and in middle school, I started playing the guitar as a hobby. By high school, I really wanted to form a band, so I secretly gathered members from within the school and managed to start the band I had always dreamed of. We rented a studio about twice a week for practice, and my passion for music meant I naturally put more effort into it, improving my guitar skills significantly. I also taught myself digital audio workstation software and gradually became capable of creating various songs and sounds on my PC. Then, in my senior year of high school, I got to perform on stage for the first time during the school festival. It was only about a 30-minute set of a few songs, but performing live with my band in front of an audience of over 1,000 people in the high school auditorium was an exhilarating experience. The audience was really into it, and for the first time, we as band members felt truly alive and immensely fulfilled. Although it was just a temporary band for high school, this experience was the first real success of my life, teaching me a valuable lesson and giving me confidence. Even someone like me, who seemed to fade into the background, could achieve great things if I really put my heart and soul into something. Afterwards, I attended a very average college, majoring in economics. I joined a music club hoping to start another band, but I didn't really click with the seniors and peers there and left soon after. As a result, I didn't engage in any music activities in college, and my campus life just drifted by with some meaningless club activities and part-time jobs. Of course, I didn't delve deeply into my studies either, only studying enough to get credits. Thus, my college life, spent aimlessly, along with the fact that I didn't attend a prestigious college, meant my job search was not very successful. Perhaps because I came from a small local college that was hardly known on a national level, it was difficult for me to even get on the hiring process of well-known companies. Moreover, I was really childish at the time, thinking the world was a bit optimistic, and I had no concrete vision of what I wanted to do, or what type of job I wanted to get. So naturally, all the major companies I applied to rejected me, and the only job offer I got was from Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc., a small to medium-sized enterprise with fewer than 200 employees. Given my circumstances, I couldn't afford to be choosy. After graduating, I reluctantly started working at Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc. However, the company was not just small, it was the epitome of a toxic workplace. Generally speaking, all departments were swamped with work and lacked the manpower to handle it. The company aimed to keep labor costs to a minimum, which meant a burden fell on each employee. The enormous amount of work, including late work and holiday work, became the norm in this classic toxic workplace. Not only was the company itself horrible, but to make matters worse, I was faced with an even more dire situation. Kevin, the general manager of the operations department, to which I was assigned and my direct boss, had the most horrible personality of all. Kevin's harsh treatment of his subordinates and his abusive language were unbearable. Even when the last train had gone and work was not finished, he would shout, "Stay overnight to finish it," or "Work through the night to get it done." Kevin showed no mercy, even to me when I was still new and not yet accustomed to the work. "Alex, you're especially useless among the newbies," or "Hurry up and finish this. You're so useless. We don't need trash employees like you here. Just quit already." I was bombarded with such abuse from Kevin from morning till night, leaving me physically and mentally exhausted. "I can't go on like this. I'll really collapse if things continue this way." One day, reaching my mental limit and feeling a real sense of crisis, I seriously questioned myself for the first time in my life. Thinking back, I recognized that my lack of ambition during my college years, not studying hard, and just going through the motions and job hunting led me to this horrible company. Fueled by this regret, I pushed myself to the brink and pondered deeply. It was an incredibly difficult task, but for someone like me who had just gone with the flow all my life, it was an inevitable and essential self-examination that had to be done at some point. Should I continue this job? Will I just wear myself out and be crushed if I stay in this company? Should I quit? No, quitting now would feel like running away, and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I feel like I need to persevere here before I can move on to the next thing. But at this rate, I'll just collapse. So, what do I do? After much agony and thought, I came to a conclusion. We need to aggressively promote business efficiency that doesn't rely on manpower, or else people will break down. For that, we need to develop a business system that can be optimized to the utmost. And probably, no one else would do it. So, the next steps became clear. It had to be me. I had no choice but to frantically study programming and system design on my own. Strangely, once I had a goal and direction, my mind became as calm as a still pond. And from that day, I began to study programming with single-minded focus. The passion I felt during that high school festival concert, my only real success in life, began to resurface within me. With genuine effort, even someone unremarkable like me can achieve great results if I'm truly passionate about it, I convinced myself. Get that feeling of fulfillment back, Alex. I encouraged and chastised myself. Since then, I studied desperately in whatever spare time I could find. Starting from scratch was challenging, but having been involved in music, customizing composition software since my student days helped me transition into programming relatively smoothly. Still, it was an uphill battle for an absolute beginner to reach the level of building a system, and I failed repeatedly. However, my persistent efforts gradually began to bear fruit, and thanks to programming, I gradually became able to do a huge amount of work in a shorter amount of time. The pilot prototype operation system that I gradually developed helped the employees in the field around me and gradually won praise. Before I knew it, my reputation within the company skyrocketed. Eventually, over the course of a year, I managed to develop a comprehensive and versatile business operation system. And when this system was put into full swing, it was greeted with applause, saying that it would efficiently advance operations in all departments of the company, not to mention the ordering and order receiving system, and even the warehouse operations for inventory control. We then implemented this system with our clients and officially switched to a streamlined workflow that operates on this system. Clients and associates praised my system for making operations more efficient and easier to manage. Before I knew it, I had become the man of the hour within the company. However, not everyone was pleased with this. Kevin, my boss in the operations department, who has a horrible personality, Kevin, who hardly knew programming or even basic computer operations and mostly stuck to phones and apps, despised my work. Instead of relying on computers, you should make action by yourself. Relying on PCs and neglecting to develop communication skills makes you a useless piece of trash. This was the mantra I was tired of hearing from Kevin every day. Yet, Kevin's imposing and biased philosophy had prevailed in the operations department. However, it was clear that this philosophy would crumble in the face of the business operation system I had developed. Kevin was in trouble if the system made the way he conducted business fully transparent, because he had reprimanded his subordinates based solely on his position and career as the head of the operations department. The clarity of the operations exposed his unnecessary severity towards his employees, sparking fear that he might be the one to get fired. Damn it, Alex's unnecessary meddling is jeopardizing my position. Fuming, Kevin schemed to undermine me in any way he could. And so, his despicable plan was set into motion. It unfolded as follows. Kevin ordered me to go on a business trip because a client would entertain me at a certain spa resort hotel. Upon arrival, there were no clients to be seen, but I was escorted by the staff of the luxury hotel to a first-class spa service and a top-notch full-course dinner. Clueless, but still, the spa service was pleasant and heavenly, and the drinks and food were delicious, so I stayed one night as I was entertained and I went back to my office. Upon my return, I was blindsided by accusations from Kevin and his cronies that I had spent company expenses on fake business trip to splurge. It was all a setup. I was merely framed by Kevin's scheme to bring me down. By the time I figured out I had been thoroughly tricked, it was already too late, and Kevin, leading the charge, had called an emergency board meeting under the guise of denouncing my alleged misconduct. The meeting proceeded in the state of a trial in absentia without me, who was supposed to be on the agenda. In the end, Kevin's argument that an employee who causes such damage to the company should be expelled was accepted, and I was dismissed. In other words, I was fired. Upon my return to the office, Kevin called me in and told me I was fired. We don't need useless employees around here. I felt nothing but pure malice in Kevin's final words to me, but I didn't retort about the dismissal and simply responded. Understood. If you want me to quit so badly, I'll quit. Today will be my goodbye to this company. But remember, Kevin, the dirty tricks you've played will eventually come back to haunt you. You'll reap what you've sown. Goodbye. Kevin responded with a smug, sarcastic laugh, but I had already turned on my heel, walking out of Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc., where I had worked for several years. A week after my departure from the company, police officers suddenly swarmed the company headquarters. The employees were buzzing with questions like, "Why are the police here?" and "Did a colleague commit a crime?" creating a stir throughout the office. When the police entered the operations department and began to seize the work PCs, Kevin arrived in a frenzy. "Hey, what do you want? Don't interfere with our work. Do you even have a warrant?" Kevin confronted the officers, but one of them calmly replied, "It's a matter of patent infringement. A complaint has been filed. The business operations system this company is using belongs to Alex, but it has been used this week without permission or contract, infringing on patent rights. Hence, we are here to seize it. Cease using this system immediately." Indeed, the Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc. business system I developed was patented under my name, and I held all licensing rights. Unaware of this, Kevin had maneuvered my dismissal, arrogantly assuming there would be no repercussions. It was merely a matter of paying the piper. In a panic, Kevin called me directly, attempting to clarify. "Hey, Alex, this wasn't part of the deal. Why do you still hold the rights to this business system?" I coldly replied to Kevin, who was ranting on the phone. "Why? Because I built the entire system. It's only natural. I had the president's permission from the time I developed it. Using the system without my consent is illegal." Hearing this, Kevin finally seemed to grasp his disadvantage, yet continued to spout selfish and unreasonable demands. Fine, but you've left the company. This business system has nothing to do with you now. Hand over the rights to us immediately. I answered, exasperated. No, why should I hand over the rights to a system I painstakingly created? Over my dead body. Kevin, you said it yourself, didn't you? We don't need useless employees. Then, you surely don't need a system created by such an employee, right? Hearing this and still trying to cling on in a pitiful manner on the phone, I cut Kevin off with a final ultimatum. Kevin, you must reap what you sow, or you'll prove to be the most useless of all. Struggle all you like. Ignoring Kevin's further outbursts, I hung up. After being cut off, Kevin turned pale and collapsed to his knees. Eventually, Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc. had to formally compensate me for the patent infringement, but they never agreed to a license to use the system thereafter. The president and other directors were open to negotiating a licensing agreement for my system, but a majority faction led by Kevin, stubborn to the end, opposed using anything I developed. The inner workings of the company were so corrupt that Kevin became the head of the majority faction of the company. As for me, I went on to productize the versatile business system and founded my own company to manage its sales. Starting from scratch, the system quickly gained a positive reputation among client companies, attracting new customers one after another. Before long, my business took off. Furthermore, upon hearing that I had started my own company, employees from my previous company, Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc., began flocking to my company, expressing their desire to work with me and applying for jobs in droves. While the upper management at my previous company was corrupt, many of the people I worked with on the ground were earnest and capable. They were just exhausted and demotivated from being thoroughly exploited by the toxic workplace. I welcomed as many of my former colleagues as possible into my new company, turning them into my new team members. Thanks to them, my startup continued to grow rapidly, expanding into new ventures along the way. Meanwhile, after my departure, Midwest Industrial Solutions Inc. began losing its competent employees, causing operations across various departments to falter. To fill the gaps, they tried to keep things running by bringing in outsourced workers from staffing agencies, but it was originally a horrible company. The outsourced temporary staff also disliked the work environment, and they couldn't retain any personnel, leading to a rapid deterioration in performance. Eventually, losing major clients led to a dire situation, culminating in bankruptcy due to massive debts. Several former employees, now in a bind, came to my company seeking re-employment. I interviewed each person carefully, picked up as many as I could, and hired them as our employees. Among them, I frequently heard rumors about Kevin's current situation. Apparently, Kevin was desperately seeking re-employment, but his past mistreatment of others, including myself, had come back to haunt him, leaving him struggling to find a job. Well, it's probably what you'd call karma. The retribution for looking down on people, oppressing them, and exploiting them like slaves inevitably comes back to the perpetrator. Given Kevin's cunning nature, he might one day show up at my company with an innocent face, asking to be hired. Of course, I intend to turn him away at that time. But then again, even a villain like Kevin has his pride. I wonder if he'd rather turn to fraud than stoop so low as to ask me, whom he despises, for a job. Regardless, as a negative role model, Kevin has been a great influence on me. Now that I'm the president of my own company, I remind myself daily to learn from the example of someone like Kevin. Never see employees merely as labor, manage with empathy for each individual. This has become my conviction, etched into my heart from the miserable experiences of being oppressed and exploited every day by a horrible-hearted boss like Kevin at my former company. So far, everything is going smoothly with the company, but I'm sure there will be numerous challenges ahead. No matter how difficult the business situation becomes, Becoming a manager who fires the employees without just cause or exploits them with unpaid overtime is out of the question. In this world, there's nothing more despicable than the wealthy who only look out for themselves and their families. No matter the circumstances, I'm determined to foster an organization that stands together with its employees, facing adversities head-on, and I'm passionate about creating a better working environment.